Paris ranks as one of the top tourist destinations in the world, with over 15 million visitors in 2023. This July, that figure is set to spike dramatically as the City of Light prepares to host the 2024 Olympic Games. And while most of us regular folk have to be content with cheering on our countries from crowded stands, a group of construction experts has created a state-of-the-art village to host the approximately 14,000 participating athletes. But it's not all grand buildings and new stadiums. Unlike the past Olympic villages, Paris seems to have used this opportunity to redefine the residential complexes we associate with the Games, making headlines for ingenious techniques like recycled fishnets and oyster shell pavements. Let's dive into what makes this village so unique. The first thing to note about Paris's new construction project is its location. Rather than in one of the city's many upscale neighborhoods, the Olympic Village is being built in Seine-Saint-Denis, a region known for being one of the poorest and most crime-ridden areas. A majority of the population here has multi-ethnic backgrounds and is plagued by high levels of unemployment, with 25% of the population below the poverty line. As a result, a 128-acre site along the River Seine that was once made up of industrial buildings and warehouses is now seeing a complete transformation, with eventual plans for the construction of offices, shops, cultural venues, schools, and a massive park. By July and August, when 14,500 Olympic athletes, 9,000 Paralympic athletes, and their staff descend on Paris, this struggling region will be transformed into the epicenter of activity. Spread over 3 municipalities with a radius of just a third of a mile, the compact village has been planned so well that all athletes will train within a 20-minute distance and less than 30 minutes away from their competition venues. During the Games, a main dining hall with the famous Cité du Cinema studio will serve over 60,000 meals a day, with a rotating menu that changes every week. A 24-hour fitness center has been built for athletes to warm up and recover. For the Paralympic Games, there are also talks of opening a free-to-charge orthodontic, prosthetic, and wheelchair repair center. The Village Club will act as a meeting point for athletes, offering a place to socialize and watch coverage of the Games, while the Village Plaza has a variety of services to athletes and their staff, including a hair salon and a post office. The residential area comprises over 80 attractive pastel-colored buildings with 3,000 apartments and 7,200 rooms. In the areas around Cité du Cinema studio, there are many recreational areas for athletes to relax before and after their competitions, with the River Seine in the backdrop. While this all may seem like standard practice, the standout feature of this year's Olympic Games construction isn't what it's building, but the commitment to sustainability displayed in building it. And when I say that, I don't mean they've just thrown in a few trees and parks. In fact, to meet the IOC's new climate standards, the Olympic Village is one of only 2 new constructions planned in this city. Officials say that 95% of all other venues will be upcycled from existing properties or be temporary structures. This is a unique model that's expected to be adopted in future games, including Brisbane in 2032. It also means that Paris's planned budget of approximately 7 billion euros is significantly less than that of London, Rio, or Tokyo Games. This commitment to sustainability also features within the Olympic Village. Solideo, the group in charge of its infrastructure, said that the apartments built within the village grounds will generate half of the carbon emissions of similar structures. None of the buildings in the Olympic Village will have air conditioning, despite the fact that Paris sees relatively hot summers. This was made possible partly due to the high-performance insulation and sunshades, and partially due to an ingenious trick. The builders have linked the underfloor plumbing to a geothermal plant. During the summer months, this system draws cool water from beneath the surface, and during the winters, it draws heat from underground, keeping temperatures stable at all times. Builders have also reduced their use of carbon-intensive concrete in favor of wood. The concrete used is either a low carbon intensive variant or recycled. The village also has a water treatment center, which will purify all wastewater to be used in the garden later. One building is even experimenting with purifying rainwater to use in its toilets, and then separating excrement from that water to use as fertilizer. Meanwhile, all beds in this village are made from recycled fishing nets, while some pavements have been made out of oyster and other shells to absorb heat. Overall, it's estimated that 40% of the 128 acres is reserved for green space. As the Olympic infrastructure head Nicholas Ferran said, this village is not just ready for 2024, but 2050. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. Before we start thinking about 2050, let's take a look at what the village is going to be used for in 2025 instead. Once the games are over, the builders say they will begin a reversibility phase, deconstructing temporary parts of the village with the aim of reusing all materials. What they'll leave behind is a brand new Paris neighborhood with 2,800 new housing units, a student residence, a hotel, 2 new schools, and office space for 6,000 employees. The new and improved Seine-Saint-Denis region will be blessed with 15 acres of green spaces and 35,000 square feet dedicated to various neighborhood stores. In fact, the builders say that by 2025, the Olympic Village will be completely transformed into a new eco-friendly neighborhood with more opportunities for its struggling residents. And that's what I think makes Paris Olympic Village so special. It isn't just a space for 25,000 athletes to call their home for 2 months of the year. Instead, it's a renovation project that aims to overhaul one of the city's poorest and most crime-ridden regions. The only difference is that the Olympic Games ensured it would be completed in half the time and with a fraction of the budget.